It started as a dream. Not a poetic kind, the one where you soar through skies or fall in love under starlight. This was a different kind. It felt watched, controlled, not entirely mine. My name is Rachel Carson. I'm 31 years old, a teacher by profession, and I live in a quiet suburb just outside Portland, Oregon. My life had been structured, steady, even a little boring, which is how I liked it. But something happened one October that changed how I sleep forever. It began with small things. I'd wake up drenched in sweat, heart pounding as though I'd just escaped something. But the oddest part was the books. Every morning, I'd find a different one from my shelf lying open beside me on the bed. Sometimes it was a thriller. Other nights, a children's book I hadn't read in decades. At first, I thought I was sleepwalking, maybe even reading in my sleep. I laughed it off to my friend Jamie over brunch one Sunday. "You're just stressed," she said between sips of her mimosa. "You're always working. Your brain needs to let off steam." Maybe she was right, but that night it escalated. I had a dream I still can't shake. I was standing in the middle of a library I didn't recognize. It was ancient, rows upon rows of endless bookshelves towering to the ceiling, the kind you'd see in some gothic fantasy. Candles flickered along the walls, casting strange, dancing shadows across the shelves. There was no one there, yet I felt I wasn't alone. In the dream, I reached out to one book titled Lives Interrupted. As I opened it, I saw my name on the first page. Rachel Carson, 7:16 a.m., October 18th. I jolted awake, sweating, heart racing. It was 7:16 a.m. Exactly. That day, I found the same book, one I'd never seen before, in the middle of my bed. Its cover was tattered, the title faded, but still legible. Lives Interrupted. I was so shaken that I took the book with me to work. I didn't open it. I couldn't. I felt like whatever was in there, I wasn't ready for it. After school, I met Jamie again and showed her the book. "This wasn't on your shelf?" she asked. "No. And I don't know where it came from. Maybe it was a gift?" I shook my head. "No one's been in my house." Jamie took the book and flipped it open. She read silently for a moment, then frowned. "There's no writing inside. The pages are blank." I snatched it back and opened it. The pages were filled with paragraphs, dense, unsettling ones. The first page still had my name, the timestamp, but to her nothing. She looked at me like I'd lost it. "You okay, Rach?" Seriously. That night, I left the book outside my house. I placed it in the trash bin and locked the lid. Just to be safe, I put a heavy rock on top. The next morning, it was back on my bed. Same page. Same timestamp. This time, there was a new entry beneath mine. Jamie Matthews, 9:42 a.m., October 21st. I looked at the clock. It was 8:36 a.m. Panic bloomed in my chest like wildfire. I grabbed my keys and drove straight to Jamie's house. She lived 20 minutes away, and I broke every speed limit getting there. When she opened the door, she looked confused and mildly amused. "What's going on?" "Don't leave your house today," I said, breathless. She laughed. "Why not?" "I can't explain, but just trust me. Stay inside." She must have seen the fear in my eyes because her smile faded. "All right. But you're seriously scaring me." I sat with her until 10 a.m. Nothing happened. No strange noises, no accidents, no threats. But as I stood up to leave, Jamie's phone rang. She answered, spoke briefly, then dropped the phone on the ground, her face pale. "That was work," she whispered. "There was a gas explosion at the coffee shop 2 doors down. I usually stop there around 9:40, before work. I would have been right there." She looked at me with new eyes, like I wasn't just her friend anymore, but someone she didn't quite understand. From that day on, the dreams got worse. Each night, I was back in that endless library. But now, there was a figure in the shadows. A tall man in a dark suit, faceless, hovering near the bookshelves. I never saw his face, but I felt his gaze, like heat on the back of my neck. I'd wake up with a new book each time. And each time, someone's name appeared. I tried to warn people, my coworkers, my students' parents, even strangers on the street if I saw their names in the pages. Most looked at me like I was disturbed. Some listened, but I never truly knew if I changed anything. One night, I saw a name that nearly made me scream. Thomas Carson, 11:58 p.m., October 27th. My father. We hadn't spoken in almost 6 years. A family falling out over my mother's estate had torn us apart. But none of that mattered now. I called him. No answer. I drove 3 hours to his house in the middle of the night. I rang the bell again and again until he finally opened the door, bleary-eyed and groggy. "Rachel," he asked, "what are you doing here?" "You can't be here tonight," I said, pushing my way in.
"Please, just come with me."
"I don't have time to explain." We spent the night in my car, parked in a diner lot off I-5. We didn't speak much. At 12:01 a.m., I finally let myself breathe. "Dad," I said softly, "I think something's trying to warn me about death."
He just looked at me.
"Is this about your dreams?" My blood ran cold. "How do you know?"
He sighed.
"Because I used to have them too." He told me everything. When my mother was pregnant with me, she had the same dreams. The library.
The books.
The names. She tried to stop them, even burning the books, but they always came back. She used to say it wasn't a curse. It was a burden, he said. A responsibility. I asked why she never told me. He said she died before she could. A stroke in her sleep, when I was only 7. He believed the dreams passed down through bloodlines. And now I had them. I tried everything. Therapy, sleep studies, cleansing rituals. I even visited a priest. Nothing helped. One day, the book showed my name again. But this time it read, Rachel Carson, 2:39 a.m., November 3rd. It was October 31st. I had 3 days. I stopped going to work. I boarded up my windows. I even unplugged every electrical appliance in my house. I became a prisoner in my own home, counting the minutes, the hours. The dreams didn't stop. On the second night, I stood face to face with a faceless man. I could feel his breath, hear the rustle of his coat. He reached for a book behind me and opened it. I looked down. The pages were filled with my memories, my childhood birthdays, my failed relationships, my regrets, my loneliness. And then he whispered, "Every life is a story, and every story has an ending." I woke up screaming. The clock read 2:39 a.m., but I was still alive. I stayed up the rest of the night, too afraid to sleep again. On the final day, November 3rd, I packed a bag and drove to the coast. I sat on the rocks near Cannon Beach, listening to the waves. If something was going to happen to me, I wanted it to happen there. Not in fear, not hiding. When 2:39 a.m. arrived, I was still wide awake. The ocean was dark and endless, the wind cold. I closed my eyes, waiting for it. And nothing happened. When I returned home, the book was gone. The library never came back. Weeks passed. Then months. The dream stopped. I don't know why it spared me. Maybe facing it head-on was the key. Maybe it just moved on to the next person in the bloodline. But I still look at my bookshelf differently now. I still pause before going to sleep. And sometimes, just sometimes, I still feel like I'm being watched when I dream.